What's going on, Legionnaires, and welcome back to Comic Breakdown. If you're new to the channel, do me a favor and hit that sub button, hit that notification bell, and make sure you're not missing any of the content that we have coming out. Now, for this video, we're going to get into the much anticipated Teen Titans Academy issue number 1. Now, Future State Teen Titans showed us a future where we saw the appearance of Red X. And with Red X and the H-Dial, they ended up bringing upon the Four Horsemen of the Apocalypse. So if you didn't check out Future State Teen Titans, go ahead and check out the link in my description as well as the top of this video. It'll get you completely caught up on everything that happened during that event. This is written by Tim Sheridan, pencils are by Rafa Sandoval, inks are by Jordi Tarragona, and colors by Alejandro Sanchez. Now, with that being said, let's dive into this breakdown. Now, with the opening pages, we see a ferry, and on the ferry, all the new Teen Titans that are going to be here, and they're looking at what appears to be Titan Tower, and it comes closer into view, and they see all of the Teen Titans ready to introduce them to their first day, because this is admissions day. This is the first day of school, and the first one to speak to all of the students is Nightwing, and he's letting them know they put on the mask, knowing that no matter what, no matter how hard the fight, the world as they know it won't change. But they're not in this to change the world, they're just trying to do some kind of good in it. But before he dives into a full monologue speech, he hands the mic over to the headmistress, who is also Starfire. And Starfire takes over the mic, and she's really just giving us an introduction, giving all the students an introduction to their new school. And we also learned that a lot of people did apply to go to the school, and many didn't make the cut. And everyone was hand chosen according not only to their gifts, but their ethics, their wits, and all above, their strength of character. And she tells them all, they're all here to save lives, to stand up for something larger than themselves, something good. And she lets them know that, you know, when you graduate, I promise, whether you choose to join the team or not, you will be ready for whatever journey awaits you ahead. And then Starfire tries to get all of the children, as well as all of the staff, to join in an oath, in the Titan Oath. But the kids are relatively uninterested in pledging fealty to anybody or anything. And this is where we pick up with Nightwing teaching self-defense and combat, hand-to-hand combat. Now, it opens up with what I personally think is an amazing entrance and way to introduce yourself to your new class, because he says, I'm the new Defense Against the Dark Arts teacher, which is an amazing Harry Potter reference. And these kids try to say that it's problematic and something of that nature. It's really the writers trying to add that in there, and I think it's absolutely ridiculous that it's in there. I understand having an issue with J.K. Rowling's or whatever the case may be, but having a good Harry Potter reference is never a bad thing. But moving past that, we're introduced to a bunch of new students. One of them being Summer Zahid, Matt Price, Brick, Alenta, Tubi, Gorilla Greg, and Stitch. And arriving late, we see Dane. And so as he dives into his lesson, he's letting them know that they're going to be pairing off and kind of sparring with holograms. But before he can even get into demonstrations, Matt Price raises his hand and asks the question about the Red X. And this is when we see the simulator, and we see the Red X in the simulator. And they're trying to find out more about him. Now, Nightwing doesn't know who is manipulating this simulator right now to make the Red X appear on it, and no one is really fessing up to it. And since he promised these kids a demonstration, and no one's fessing up to it, he figures he might as well just fight it. And so we see him beat the crap out of this hologram, and as he's fighting, he's teaching the children a lesson, letting them know that it can be fun to put on a mask. They can free you, but they also protect you and allow you to hide from the bad guys, from civilians, from even yourself. And so the lesson in all of this is, mask or not, you have to be able to look yourself in the mirror and recognize the person looking back. And if you don't, it's time to take the mask off. Tools are you know, they're masks. They can be born out of necessity, but they can also be born out of ego and mistrust. And when Nightwing wore the Red X mask, he lost a piece of himself, and he started to dive further into that darkness, and if it wasn't for the Teen Titans to pull him out, something the other Red X's didn't have, he may not have come back. And he tells them this is what the team is for. And it's true. That's such a vital part of it, is to have somebody to lift you up when you fall down. And he tells them straight up it's best that the Red X is dead. And that's where we're going to leave it at. And then we pick up a little bit later on in the cafeteria. And we're seeing interactions between all of our individual new Titans. And it's kind of just building their personalities more or less. But we also see Billy Batson here with Miguel Montez. And they're really not sure of their role. Because as it stands right now, they're just freshmen. The facility, the faculty, they are the Titans. And the upperclassmen are the active roster of the Teen Titans. And right now, the upperclassmen are actually missing the first day of school because they're out battling Clock King somewhere in Saudi Arabia. And this is where we get some amazing artwork showing off Wallace West and some of the other Titans. And back in headquarters, Starfire, Beast Boy, Red Arrow, and Cyborg are all really watching this situation as it unfolds, knowing that they can handle this. Just letting them know that they need to make it back in time for the party. There's going to be pizza, yada yada yada. Because this party is for Nightwing. It's his birthday. Now this is where we pick up in the simulation room. And we have Brick sitting here fighting with simulation after simulation. And we see him unleash some of his meta power. And it is devastating. And this is when Donna Troy walks into the room, seeing his power and letting him know that it's impressive. And our organic EMP is definitely nothing to play with. And at first he's a little bit embarrassed. He's embarrassed to be caught doing this. And this is when Troy lets him know, like, you know, I was out here looking for you. Because she's the faculty advisor for him. And they had an appointment scheduled that he almost missed because he was too busy in here messing with these simulators. But she tells him, you know, we could talk. Or we could spar. And this is where we see these two jump into a fighting stance. And Donna Troy lets him know that that EMP charge isn't going to work on her. And they start to get at it. And so with this being the first day of school, we see everybody getting ready and unpacking all of their stuff. And Tubi is going into his room only to see that Roundhouse is also in the room with him. And they have a kind of funny little standoff here. Because Tubi, his ability, he really just turns into a tube. And Roundhouse, he just turns into a big ball. And so their abilities are very similar, but each of them think that their ability is better than the others. And this is where we pick up with the party going on and everybody singing happy birthday. And again, we get an amazing shot and some amazing artwork of all the Titans sitting here having a great time, having some festivities. And we're seeing more of these relationships build up, like between Summer and Matt as they have an arm wrestling contest. But as this is happening, Nightwing gets a gift from an unknown person, and in this box, he finds the mask of the Red X. And this is where him, Donna Troy, and Cyborg have a silent conversation between the three of them, discussing exactly where this thing came from. You know, they automatically assume it has something to do with the kids, because they've been really infatuated at this point about the Red X story, and this seems to be the original mask. At least that is what Nightwing is saying it is. And he worries that he came in too hot when he was discussing the Red X earlier. He just doesn't want to be seen as that person, as that persona, because he's worked so hard to change who he is, and the Red X stands for something that he doesn't represent anymore. And he doesn't want the children to be represented in that way either. And so he decides to address the room, let everybody know that he's glad to have it, because it's a perfect reminder of what they hope this academy, they hope it achieves to be. The Roy Harper Academy aims to be more. And he points to the Teen Titan emblem, and he says that we all wear this emblem because it stands for something. We need trust, tenacity, teamwork. And he talks to Summer and Matt about how they were having an arm wrestling contest and they both trusted one another not to use powers. And he lets Summer know, I've seen what Matt can do. I know his power, and I promise you he wasn't using it there. But you guys both took each other's word on it, and you're building that fundamental trust. Yeah, it may be silly arm wrestling, but these are the fundamental building blocks that'll help you later on when you're in combat. And you can really depend on one another. You can trust the person to your left and right. They want to put these kids on the right path. and to have them always remember who they are, because the red X is what happens when you forget. Red X is what happens when people get hurt. And this is where he tells everybody that it's kind of lights out time. It's time for everybody to go to bed. And as they're all making their way to the room, he sees the simulation room and he goes to check on what's going on, and he sees Brick doing something in this room. And then he immediately darts out, and they're not sure what exactly he was doing, but he wasn't at the party. But they kind of brush it off because Starfire and Nightwing, they want to go get some alone time. And she asks if he brought the Red X mask, and he says, no, I must have left it behind. Do you want me to go get it? And she says no, and they go and do their own thing. But this is where we see somebody looking in the mirror wearing the Red X mask. And that will be the end of this issue. So let me know what you guys think down in the comments. It's definitely still up in the air who the Red X will be. Of course, you know, they're not going to tell us immediately right off the bat. They really want to make it seem like it is Brick, which makes me think it is definitely not him. Maybe Matt Price. Matt Price seems to have the build of this individual that we're seeing in the mirror, but it could be one of the older classmen. You know, it could not be, it could be someone that's not new, because the Red X can be anybody. It's literally just a mask. Yeah, besides that little bit, you know, them taking a jab at Harry Potter, I enjoyed it. It was a great issue. The artwork was really phenomenal. I'm looking forward to finding out exactly who the Red X is. And I'm definitely looking forward to more of that H-dial. Because that is some... I love when the H-dial is involved in a story. It's really great storytelling, in my opinion at least. But yeah, let me know what you guys think down in the comments. If you have not yet, please do me a favor. Subscribe to the channel, like this video. And until the next breakdown.